my gosh, she sits. Chances are you'll hear this at least once if you spend more than a few minutes around a greyhound. But why is it so special if a dog sits? Isn't that what they do? It's one of the first tricks you'll learn in most obedience classes. Well, that's only true if you have a normal dog. Greyhounds aren't dogs in the usual sense, and one of their quirks is that many of them don't sit. In fact, they're the only breed exempt from sitting during the Therapy Dogs International Certification test. So how do you teach your greyhound to sit if it's so hard that they get a pass on a popular therapy dog test? First, remember that they're greyhounds. Be patient. Be encouraging. Don't feel bad if your dog looks at you like you're spouting crazy talk during the process. One popular method to teach sit is to lure the dog into position. Midori and I are practicing this right now. Watch how I hold a treat over Midori's nose and bring it up and back. Midori, following the treat, raises her head and lowers her haunches. As soon as she sits, I praise her and give her the treat. You should give your dog a release word like okay before she breaks her sit. The idea is to teach her to stay seated until you tell her it's alright to move. Don't be frustrated if your dog doesn't get the idea the first time out. Midori has practiced this exercise many times and makes it look easy. Another method, which I learned from the Never Say Never Greyhounds blog, is to teach your dog to sit using a hill. The steps are similar to what you saw before with luring. However, we're making the process easier on the dog by facing her downhill. The incline lets her hind end hit the ground sooner than if she were standing on a level surface. For greyhounds who may have difficulty grasping the idea of sitting, this method is handy. All Maya has to do is dip her hind end down until she touches the hill. I mark and reward the instant Maya's hind end touches the ground. Over the course of several repetitions, your dog should learn that sit means her rear end is touching the ground while her head is still up. Again, don't worry if it takes a while for your dog to figure this out. Maya, like Midori, is also a pro. Don't forget to use your release word before your dog stands up. The last method we're going to look at is luring from a down. Many greyhounds learn down very easily. After all, they spend most of their day in bed. With your dog in a Sphinx down, which Irish is currently demonstrating, hold a treat overhead and gradually lift it so your dog has to push up with his front end to reach the food. Start in small increments. You want to reward your dog for a lot of successes and not create a lot of failures. Your dog should eventually figure out that sit is only halfway to lying down or getting up. Remember to use your release word just like in the other examples. Like Maya and Midori, Irish knows this game well, so he makes it look simple. Don't be frustrated if your dog takes several repetitions to figure it out. You might wonder why anyone would teach a greyhound to sit if they don't do it naturally. There are a few reasons. One, it's a myth that greyhounds don't sit. While there are some you will never see sit in their lifetimes, many others will sit all on their own without ever having been taught. Two, sitting can be used to keep your dog safe. If your dog ever gets off leash or out of the yard, a well-practiced sit may give you the seconds you need to catch your dog. Sit can also be used to teach your dog to politely greet a stranger or not jump up on the counter or table after food. A third consideration is canine sports. Do you want your dog to pass the canine good citizen test? To do agility or rally obedience? Your dog may need to learn how to sit for some of these. At the end of the day, though, if you have a greyhound who won't sit, there's nothing wrong with that. Let your dog do what is comfortable. There are plenty of other things you can teach him, and lots of non-greyhound dogs out there who have no idea what sit means anyway.